Today we shall go over the Dying Light comic. I myself was unaware of the comic, well technically two comics, but we're going over the first one, and on a separate video I'll go over the second comic titled Banshee I Am the Cure. The story is around 5 chapters long and takes place 15 years after the events of Haran and serves as a prequel to Dying Light 2. We follow the main protagonist Dodd and his lover Aisha, who are attempting to escape the city they find themselves in. However, their time is running out. An important thing to go over before we can go over the story is that the infected in this story are those from the Haran virus. More than likely, the comic was created before they fully developed the infected for Dying Light 2 because, as we know, many of the infected were scrapped. But another possibility is that these scrapped infected like the Toad and Screamer can be found in certain areas of the world, but it seems highly unlikely. These infected seem to be variants of the Haran virus and not the THV. As we've seen in 2 other games, the THV strand creates different variants like the Revenant and the Spitters. So either variants of the Haran virus can be found around the world, or the comic was merely created before they had decided which infected were going to be created by this new strand. Because we have to remember the Haran virus did not cause the fall, but rather the TH virus did. Also, there is a possibility that a refugee was infected and maybe that's why those variants can be found in the city, but who knows. The story begins with Dodd breaking into a building to gather supplies while reminiscing about his family. There he finds another person and soon they begin fighting. The ruckus alarms a night hunter. Yes, a night hunter. Dodd escapes, but the woman dies. He heads back to the amusement park, the hideout of Berg, and all the other orphans raised by him. Then we meet this snot-nosed bastard of a kid, Harry. He'll be relatively important to the story, but for now we can just ignore him. Here we learn the residents of the amusement park manufacture bullets and use them to trade for their safety. So here's a recap of everything we know so far. Dodd and Aisha are both refugees of the city of Haran. Berg trains orphans like Dodd to become night hunters. Aisha, the love interest, is then introduced, and it turns out it's her birthday. We learn Dodd and her are devising a plan to escape from this place. As it turns out, when an orphan turns 18, Berg gives him to the Duke. Come the next day, Dodd is sent to deliver a batch of ammunition to the Berserkers. However, before doing so, he heads to the airport and must go through an area called the Burning. Jet fuel was spilled there and has been burning ever since. Well, things go awry from here. As we learn, Dodd has been set up by, who would have guessed it? Harry. He manages to get away and gets what he came for, the mana cards. But on the other side, Aisha finds out Harry wants to kill Dodd and heads out to save him. When Dodd returns to the amusement park thinking that Berg tried to kill him, he finds all the residents are imprisoned by the Berserkers. The Berserkers take all of their supplies, including the mana cards for failing to deliver the ammunition. Dodd can't let that slide, so he chases after their buggies. Knowing he can't fight them head on, he finds a group of bombers and leads them to the Berserkers. Most of the Berserkers die, but in the commotion, the cards were lost. However, their leader, Bearshirt, managed to survive with a burn across his face. Harry saves Dodd from a zombie and informs him that Aisha has been taken by the Duke. So our 2 heroes head out to rescue her. We now jump to her point of view. In the palace, Aisha finds previous orphans who aged out of Berg's care. We then meet the Duke and learn about his cult. To join, you must have a second rebirth. Dodd and Harry arrive, attempting to break into the palace to save her, but fail miserably. Aisha is tasked to bring back resources, but Dodd takes her place instead and heads out with Harry in a truck given to them by the Duke. The area is swarmed by infected and one of them jumps on top of the truck. They see a Toad and use its spit to knock out the zombie out of the way. Now, the location they were given was the GRE camp. We learned that Berg and the Duke both worked for the GRE. This was the same refugee camp where Dodd and Aisha were sent to. There, he discovers a trailer that has become a volatile nest. Back to Aisha, she and the Duke discuss her rebirth and he tells her that she reminds him of a man he once knew, Kyle Crane. She's given the task to cross the basement with supplies left behind for her down there. Dodd returns with a supposed loot, and when the Duke soldier opens the door, a volatile rips off her head. Panic ensues and a fight breaks out. However, baby screamers join the fight, which is absolutely bonkers. In the Dying Light games, the screamers are able to stand on their feet, But these screamers are literal infants. The others were children. Aisha makes it out of the basement and all three of them escape and head to the tower where Eagle is at. Eagle is the man that has a way for them to escape the city. While escaping, they find the guy with the mana cards and take him out to recuperate the cards. On their way up the tower, the same Night Hunter appears and begins pursuing them. Harry slips, and before Dodd can save him, Aisha tells him to leave him there because he was the one that set him up and tried to kill him. However, Dodd saves him and all three of them make it to the Eagle's base. As it turns out, Eagle was just joking about the mana cards and tells them there is no way he'd give them his glider. Dodd gets angry, but before he can do anything, the Night Hunter breaks in and kills Eagle. Down below, the Duke and his soldiers are shooting at the tower. The Duke contacts Eagle and tells him to return the kids to him, and if he doesn't, that he will blow up the whole place. Then boom, out of nowhere, Bearshirt comes from behind and kills one of his soldiers, takes the detonator and blows the place to smithereens. Before they go tumbling down, they get on the glider where once again our girl Aisha wants to leave Harry behind. She sure can hold a grudge. I love this character. But Dodd's better nature gets the best of him and he lets Harry come along. The building collapses and we see the Night Hunter fall to his doom. They head back towards the refugee camp and acquire a bigger aircraft. They return to the amusement park to take all the orphans with them. Berg decides to stay behind as penance for his crimes, but then out of nowhere, the same damn Night Hunter attacks Berg. This freaking thing survived a building falling on him. Or maybe the building didn't fall on him, however falling from those heights and surviving is no simple feat. Berg, ensnared by the tentacles of the Night Hunter, uses a grenade to blow himself up with the Night Hunter. Our group now heads to the city. Villador, the last standing city who is allegedly still trying to find a cure for the virus. And that's it. Apparently many people didn't really like the comic, but honestly I gotta say making the Night Hunter the main antagonist was a pretty good move. We got to actually see how persistent and strong this thing is. Unlike the other infected, this guy remembered and pursued Dodd throughout the entire story. I also like how they set up the Night Runners and connected the story of Haran to the rest of the world. Even though the comic isn't that long, it's still quite an enjoyable read, or if anything at least it's more content for the Dying Light universe. I only wished we had gotten a new comic for the Beast, but I highly recommend you give it a read at least once. It's kinda sad how they solely focus on the games, like imagine all the content that could be made. Like a TV show based on this universe, even books would be hella fun. Although I will say Dying Light has now become more of an established universe, so the potential for further content could be in the near future, but who knows? I wish we could get a book or TV series based on the initial days of the fall. That'd be a sight to see how the world collapsed against the virus. Or heck, even random stories of people would be nice. Maybe one day Techland will give us more content that isn't just a game. Because I really don't want to wait like 3 to 5 years for a new game. That is it. I appreciate you watching. Like, sub, or don't, as long as you enjoy the video. Goodbye.